Hello everybody and welcome to today's episode of Simon's Order Academy. Today we're going to be talking about the reinforcements that cities are getting from Broken Realms Kragnos. So first we'll talk about the actual two models that cities are getting in this book. So they are Galen and Doralia van Denst. So we'll start with Galen. So Galen moves 6 inches. He's got 3 shots with his 9-inch range pistol and 6 attacks with his 1-inch range melee attack. All these attacks are 3s and 3s, rend 1 damage. He's also got an ability on his war scroll that makes him retreat and still shoot and or charge. So not completely horrible. Doralia moves 5, so interesting 1 inch less. I'm not really sure why they decided to differentiate between the two, but they did. She has 1 24-inch crossbow attack, which is 3s and 3s, rend 2 damage, and then 3 melee attacks that are 1-inch range, 3s and 3s, rend 1 damage, and she gets +1 to attack and +1 to hit with the crossbow if she doesn't move in the same turn. So basically it goes to 2s and 3s, rend 2 damage, so with 2 attacks instead of 1, so pretty good. Both characters have a 5 wounds. They have 4 up after save and then a 5+ after save. And then a nice little ability is that they both do double damage against wizards and demons and the ability to attack endless spells. So double damage against wizards and demons, the obvious strength of this ability is on Doralia's crossbow attacks. So if you get 2 attacks, you're on 2s and 3s, rend 2, 4 damage against wizards or demons. So 8 damage potential. That'll take most foot wizards off the table. And then if you, I'll talk about it a little bit later, but if you put her in Besai, she's 2s and 2s, which I love 2s and 2s. Both cost 115 points per model, so you'd be paying 230 points total if you took both of them. So what I like about these guys is, well, I like Doralia. So she's the obvious choice. Tempesai with 2 shots at 2s and 2s, rend 2 damage, 4 against wizards and demons at 24 inches. When you've got a Hurricanum and the Hawkeye bonus, so even with Lookout Search, you'll still be on 2s, which is really good. And Galen has 3 Ursa Dispelling an Endless spell that you want to get rid of without wasting casts on your wizards. So cities already are pretty good at this because they have Rune Lords and Anointeds that get a Dispel in their hero phase, but it's just a little bit extra. The things I don't like, Galen isn't, I don't see a point in taking Galen, honestly. At 115 points, I don't think he does enough, and I think Doralia definitely is worth 115 points, so I much would have preferred to see the 2 models together in a single unit. I probably would have priced it at about 180 points, but then you'd see the father and daughter together on the table. Where at the moment I think you're just going to see Doralia and you pretty much won't ever see Galen, which I think is disappointing because it's quite thematic to have them fighting together on the battlefield. So I've decided to talk about the Lore of the Deepwood here because the next 2 models have the rule on their war scroll that they know all the spells in the Lore of the Deepwood. So you get access to a Battle Tome lore thanks to warding on a war scroll, which I think is really cool. So the first spell is Throne of Vines. So casting value 5, add 2 to casting rolls for the caster until they move or are set up in a different location. So good. +2 to cast, always good. Like sorceresses get it for doing nothing. They don't need to waste a cast. These guys can, +2 to cast is always good. I'll just leave it at that. Regrowth, so casting value 5, heal D6 wounds to a Sylvaneth unit wholly within 18 inches of the caster. So obviously this is going to be good on Alarielle because she can heal herself for an extra D6 plus the 2 D6s she can now heal. You can basically stack this with a lot of other abilities to make sure that essentially Alarielle, there's not many other things you want to cast this on, but Alarielle doesn't die as a result of all the heals that you're able to access. Dwellers below, so casting value of 7, pick an enemy unit within 10 and roll a dice for every model in it. 6 to a mortal wound. That's alright. Even against a unit of 30, you're only going to be doing 5 mortal wounds, and it's within 10 inches, which is a bit of a shame. So I'm not a huge fan of this spell, but it's okay. Deadly Harvest, so each enemy unit within 3 inches suffers D3 mortal wounds. Fine if you're engaged by multiple units of stuff, but if you're engaged by multiple units of stuff, you're probably dying. So probably highly situational for that one. Virtuous Harmony, casting value of 7, return models to a Sylvaneth unit, wholly within 18 of the caster. I didn't put Sylvaneth on there, but it is a Sylvaneth unit, obviously. If that unit is a Dryad unit, Tree Revenant unit, or Spite Revenant unit, You can bring back D3 models, or other units such as Kurnoth Hunters. You can bring back 1 model to the unit, so not bad with Kurnoth Hunters. You know, you bring back a 5 wound model, pretty good. And D3 to a Dry Tree Revenant or Spike Revenant unit, still not bad. And then finally, Tree Song, casting value 7, reroll hit and wound rolls of 1 in melee against an enemy unit within 6 of the caster, and 16 of an Awakened Wildwood until the end of the turn. Not bad if you're in Sylvaneth. Probably not that great for us in cities, because we don't have ready access to Awakened Wildwood except in a few circumstances, one of which I will talk about on the next slide. So Alarielle's War Scroll had quite a big update, and as a result I don't think that I can kind of adequately cover it off with the changes and do it justice. So what we're going to do here is just treat it as if we've just gotten this as a brand new War Scroll. So her base stats are move 16, which degrades to 12 at the lowest profile. She's 16 wounds, 3 up save, and 3 attacks is below. So the first one is the Spear of Kurnoth, ranged attack, 24 inches, 1 attack, 2s and 2s, Rend 2, 6 damage, and it degrades to 2 damage at the lowest profile. So pretty good. You can take out most single wound heroes, foot heroes, 5 wounds or 6 wounds with this weapon. With the Lookout Sir, if it stays the same for 3rd, which is the assumption here with all this stuff, the Hurricanum can give a +1 to hit, so you're ignoring a Lookout Sir, so it's going to be 2s and 2s, Rend 2, 6 damage. Actually, Lookout Sir doesn't say stay the same. It changed to 10 wounds or more, but it is still -1 to hit, so it is still relevant. You should be able to kill most foot heroes with this, which I think is quite good and quite worth it. Then she's got Talon of the Dwindling, which is a melee weapon that's got 1 inch range, 4 attacks, 3s and 4s, no rend, 1 damage. Any wounds that are allocated, so that get through an armor save, you get to roll a dice, and then that model is slain if you roll a 6. So a lot of people are saying that this is amazing. I'm not a huge fan of it, just because of the unreliability of 3s and 4s, and then no rend. So your opponent's going to be getting an armor save against this. Most big beasts these days have a 3 up, if not a 2 up, like on Kragnos, and you probably won't be getting anything through. So the chance of them rolling low on a dice and then you rolling a 6 is minuscule, basically. And if you roll a 1 to 5, they heal that wound. So, that wound is negated, so you still don't put any damage through, which I think, like, it's fine, whatever. But I just don't think it's as great as people are making it out to be. I just hate abilities proccing on 6s. And then finally, the Great Antlers are a 1 inch range weapon, 4 attacks, 3s and 2s, -2 damage, Rend 2, damage 5, which degrades as the profile goes down. These are really good. Again, when you're in cities and you've got a Hurricanum within 10 inches of her, she's going to be on 2s and 2s, Rend 2, damage 5. So really good. And all of these degrading profiles that they do, that they're not great when you go down to 2 damage. However, there are so many heals that you can put on Alarielle when you're in Living City that she will either be dead or at pretty much the top profile the majority of the time, is what I would say about her. So for all that stuff above and for the stuff below, she costs 740 points. She has the Leader and Behemoth battlefield rolls, plus the monster and hero keywords, which are relevant in scenarios now, but will be even more relevant come 3rd edition. So the fun abilities on her War Scroll. First one is Life Bloom. So in the hero phase, just heal 2d6 wounds to Alarielle. Really good. And then all other Sylvaneth units wholly within 30 inches of her heal another d3. And she'll also be healing 1 for Living City. So 2d6 + 1 on average is 8 wounds every turn. So this is what I'm saying. If she's not dead, she's probably at a full profile, which I think is quite good. The next one is the Living Battery Ram. So when she charges, roll a dice for each enemy unit within 1 inch. They take d3 mortal wounds on a 2 to 5, and on a 6, they take d6 mortal wounds. Again, quite fun. And you do probably want to be charging stuff with her, especially in Living City, where you can move, shoot, move again, then charge. And she's moving 32 inches, plus, charges and bonuses charge. Really good. The next one is an addition to the War Scroll, so Swirling Glow Spikes, so she can still shoot and charge after retreating. So you can't lock her down in combat. She does have fly, so she can get out of combat, shoot something, and then charge something else. Not being able to lock her down is really important, because you don't want her fighting things that are going to kill her. You want stuff that's going to try and chip away at her, and she's just going to heal back the 8 wounds every hero phase, so that she never dies, is what I think is good with her. And then finally, the ability Soul Amphorae. Summon basically there are units that you can summon to bring onto the table. The most expensive is 20 Dryads, which are worth 200 points. The cheapest is 80 points for a Branch Witch to move on, to bring on at the end of the movement phase. Set up wholly within 9 inches of her and 9 inches away from enemy units. The three other options that you can have that I like are 3 ranged Kernoth Hunters, 3 melee Kernoth Hunters, probably with swords, I think is probably the better option. But I have to go back and have a look at them because I think they're overcosted at 190, but when you're getting them for free, they're not a bad option. But then the one that I like the most is probably the unit of 10 Tree Revenants, so 160 points. They can teleport anywhere on the board, and they are quite decent. So she's also an okay caster, so she's got 3 casts, 3 unbinds, knows all spells from the Lore of the Deepwood, which we talked about on the previous page. She's got the spell Metamorphosis on her War Scroll, so casting value 7, which hopefully you've got a +2 to cast that due to the Lore of the Deepwoods. Throne of Vines, so pick one enemy unit within 16 inches of her and roll the number of dice equal to the casting roll. Each 3+ does a mortal wound. If you wipe out the unit, set up an Awakened Wildwood wholly within 12 of the last slain model and 1 inches from other models, terrain, or objectives. This is really good for like kind of a, well, I mean, you can snipe out heroes if you're casting on a 9, which is average. When you've got a +2 to cast, you'll be doing 6 mortal wounds to whatever the target is. I quite like this in combination in Living City with the Umbral Spell Portal, so you can put it through a spell portal and kill some guys over the opposite side of the table. Really good. I really enjoy it. She's got a command ability, so you use it at the start of the combat phase. Reroll wound rolls of 1 for Sylvaneth units wholly within 14, so not limited to melee. So your it's obviously in the combat phase, so it's limited to melee. Really good on her because she's wounding on a 2+ with the Beetle, and it's really good on a lot of other models, and especially if we're going to be getting more command points in 3rd edition, this is going to become increasingly relevant, so really good. And finally, what I use her in the Living City, yes, load of caveats. I need to see how she works in AOS 3rd edition. I think she gets significantly better with the heroic actions and the monstrous abilities that were previewed this week. Makes her significantly better. She can stomp on stuff. The Beetle can scream at stuff. I don't know what a screaming beetle sounds like. But she's got extra heals from that. She's got +1 to armor save and +1 to wound. Like there's lots of good stuff that looks to be coming out of AOS 3. At 740 points, I don't know if you use her in 2nd edition, but I will probably, if I have the opportunity, take her to try and see what she does. The Warsong Revenant. So this guy's kind of divided a lot of people's, divided a lot of communities on whether he's good or not. What do I think? So let's go through his stuff first. So he's a move 8 inches. He's got 7 wounds, 5+ save, and in melee he's actually quite a beater. 5 attacks, 3s and 3s, Ren 1/2 damage. So that's not horrible. Then you read his points cost, 275 points. He's a leader and he's got the hero keyword. 275 points is a lot of points. But we'll have a look at his abilities to see if he justifies it. So Alarielle's Song as ability, add 1 to the bravery of Sylvaneth units wholly within 12, and subtract 1 from the bravery of enemy units while they are within 12. So even just based on the monstrous and heroic abilities that we have seen previewed this week, bravery plays some sort of role in that, like especially in the heal, and having, you know, +1 to bravery may mean that you get that clutch heal off when you need to, and that your opponent might not if they're -1 bravery. So that's interesting. We're seeing bravery interactions with single character models in AOS 3.0, which is going to be interesting. However, in 2nd edition, it's completely irrelevant because we all know that bravery doesn't really matter on single hero characters in 2nd edition. So that's worth nothing in 2nd. It's probably a little bit more value in 3rd. The Arboreal Cloak, so it's got a 4+ after save, which is good, which means that those 7 wounds are actually 14 after everything's said and done. So I actually quite like that. It makes him significant, well, 50%, 100% more resilient. Good. That's a good ability. And then Wildwood Revenant, so this again is good in Sylvaneth, probably not as good in Living City. Add 1 to casting, dispelling, and unbinding rolls while he's wholly within 9 of an awakened Wildwood. It's good. That's good because you can also then go Throne of Vines and get an extra +2, and he can be +3 on his 2 casts, so quite good. He's got an interesting spell, so Unleash Swarm of Spites, casting value of 7, roll a number of dice equal to the casting roll for each unit within 9 inches of the caster. On a 5+, you deal 1 mortal wound to that unit. Put that through a spell portal when you've got +3 to cast, quite good. So +3 to cast an average is 10 dice. On a 5+, you'll be doing 3 wounds to each unit within 9 inches of the portal. If you do the combination that I like and you put it on a Balewind Vortex, then you're actually going to be within 15 inches of the caster. So it's a big bubble. It's not a Technado by any stretch of the imagination, but it's not horrible either. Would I take him in Living City? So he can't have or be an adjutant due to 7 wounds. He can be on a Balewind, which is good, and we'll give him a 4+ armor save as well as the 3 casts. +2 to cast is good. The lore is okay. He's fairly decent in melee, and because of the 4+ after save, he's resilient. So 275 points. For an extra 5 points, you can get a Lord Arcanum on Toralon, who I think is the competitor for this guy. And they do similar things. So the Lord Arcanum does, has the same sort of profile, 3s and 3s, Ren 1, D3 damage on the Arcanum. But he has fly, he moves 10 inches, he's got 10 wounds and a 3+ armor save. He's got, 2 spells at bait. It's an interesting comparison, basically. And in 3rd edition, I think the Toralon will be better because of the monstrous abilities you can do. So the choice between the two will be more interesting in 3rd edition if points change. However, at the moment, I don't think that I would take this guy as he is in Sylvaneth, because I think he's better just in Sylvaneth. So I don't think I would take him in Living City because he's better in Sylvaneth and has some Sylvaneth-related buffs. So I think that for the moment, I'd leave him at home, but I am waiting to see the rest of the changes for 3rd edition before completely ruling him out. So I'm really sad about this one. Gardus Steelsoul, we're just going to do some catching up from the previous Broken Realms Be'lakor. Gardus is meh. His art's good. His model's amazing. Don't take this guy in cities. Unless you're going to prox him for a Lord Celestant, just make sure that you put him on the right size base, because Gardus comes with a 50 and the regular Lord Celestant is on a 40. And I think you just take a regular Lord Celestant, and even in that circumstance, he's 110 points. I think you just take something else from cities instead, because there are so many better options to take for 110 points than a Lord Celestant. So I'm only going to speak about him in the context of cities. In Stormcast, there is an option where you could potentially take him to... I still don't even know if you take him in Stormcast. Anyway, he's a cool model. I think that the way that I would use him is to proxy him as a Lord Celestant, because he is a Lord Celestant and he looks sweet. That would be my advice to you, but I wouldn't be taking this guy in cities. So the Grimwrath Berzerker also got updated in Broken Realms Be'lakor. He's quite cool. I quite like him actually now. So he's 110 points. His throwing axes are now 4 and 4 Ren 1 damage, which is good. If they changed all of the Fireslayer models to have their throwing axes like that, that would be real good. I'd probably be interested in playing Fireslayers if they did that. They got rid of his after save and then gave it back to him under one of these oaths. So instead of just having a flat 5+, he now has the option to take an oath at the start of the first battle round. The first one is the one that I'm talking about is a 6+ after save, and if he's within 3 inches of an enemy model, it increases to a 5+. Like, why? Just leave that on him. Who cares? The other ones are +1 to hit, wound, and damage against priests, which is not bad. There aren't many priests that actually see play at the moment, but so, it's not horrible, but it's probably severely contextual about whether or not you take it. Run and charge and reroll charge rolls, again, not bad. 6 to hit to 1 mortal wound in addition. Yeah, that's okay. I would argue for cities, the best one that this guy can take is a +1 to hit and wound within 12 inches of an ally. This includes himself if he's taken as an ally. So he's on 2s and 2s, so 2s to hit, 2s to wound against basically anything if he is taken as an ally in cities, which I think is really good, because 110 points is not that expensive. Like, you 100% take this guy over Galen Denst, and he's got 4 attacks, 2s and 2s, Ren 2 damage. That's quite good. He also then has all these other abilities, but basically he can fight at the end of the phase if there are still models within 3 inches, well, you got to roll 2+, but basically he fights at the end of the combo phase, and then again, if he dies, then he can fight again. So 110 points. I think this guy's legit. I'm getting one painted up by my painter just to take him, because I think he's also quite good fun, as the rules are from Broken Realms Kragnos. So that's the entire video. Thanks guys for watching. I'd like to hear what you think of the sound quality, because I got a better mic thanks to the Patreons. So the sound quality should be better. It's quite a professional mic from whatever I can tell, and I think it's going to be better than using my headset mic. So thank you very much to the Patreons for your money, I guess, to be able to buy a better mic to make the videos better for everyone. You guys are absolute heroes. Now, I am getting married in 2 days' time, so there will not be a video the week after this one comes out, potentially the one after that as well, because then I go on my honeymoon. So you might not hear anything from me for 2 weeks. So by then, 3rd edition might be out, or there will definitely be significant spoilers for 3rd edition that will be out. So I look forward to coming back and covering the changes that will be applying to cities when we go from 2nd to 3rd edition. Really excited for 3rd edition, really keen to play the game and just see what GW have done, because for everything that has been previewed so far, really excited about the changes. All right, thanks very much, guys. We'll talk to you next time.